What is going on, boys and girls? We're back here doing an NFL week prediction. We're on week 13 here. I know I missed a few weeks, but I'm back at it. So let's go ahead and start with the Bills and the Patriots. I think the Bills will win this pretty handily. The Patriots have been decent, but they have no offense. When you have Matt Patricia being offensive coordinator for some reason, you don't want to win, would be my guess. Not much else said there. Cleveland, as much as I hope Cleveland loses every game as a Ravens fan and a Deshaun Watson hater, but they're playing Houston. That should be a relatively easy W for Cleveland. I don't imagine it's going to be a tough fought match there. Baltimore versus Denver. Baltimore will bounce back, beat Denver. Denver can't score. Baltimore sometimes can't score. But I think Baltimore will be able to bounce back and win that game by a certain amount of points over Denver. All they got to do is score 18 and they'll win. I think the Chargers will beat the Raiders. Raiders have been just down bad. When you hire Josh McDaniels as your head coach again after he's failed everywhere else, you're just asking to lose. And I think that's where the Raiders have found themselves in. I think Kansas City will beat the Bengals. You know, the Bengals haven't been that great this year, but they haven't been bad either. You know, they've been kind of just, I mean, they were 7-4 before I chose this, but they've been kind of, rocking the bed a bit. You know, they haven't been winning games by a lot like they should, but some teams just don't do that, and the entire division doesn't do that. I think the Vikings will beat the Jets. I think that could be a good game, especially if Mike White's starting. God himself, Mike White, because Zach Wilson has problems, and I don't think the Jets plan to stick with him for much longer. And a very interesting game because I think realistically Jacksonville's kind of out in the AFC because it's so stacked, but the NFC is a little bit weak. So I think with the Lions winning this week, I think the Lions could actually keep themselves in a playoff hunt because they're really battling like Seattle and Washington right now, or Seattle, Washington, and the Giants. I guess you could really throw into that mix too for that last playoff spot. There's not really much else going on there, and yeah, I honestly think the Lions still have a shot at the playoffs, especially if they went out. If they went out, they're making it in. I think there's no doubt. But it's an outside shot, but it's still there. Even if they finish second in the division, that'll be huge for them. I think the Falcons will beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been a little hit or miss, but I don't see them beating the Falcons, who are actually kind of competing for their division. Shockingly, it's crazy. But I think Pittsburgh loses to the Falcons. Eagles will beat the Texans. The Texans have no offense. Their defense is really good, but Tannehill's hit or miss. I've not been a firm believer of the Eagles all year. Their cupcake schedule has proven where they got this record, and I think when they get into the playoffs, there's a good chance they're gonna get smacked, and people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, they weren't that good." But I digress. I still think they're gonna be better than Tennessee right now. Miami will beat the Niners. The Niners are again great defense, very little offense. It seems to be a thing that kind of happens to some of these teams. And the Dolphins are one of the most explosive teams in football. Tua has been playing in an MVP clip this year. Whatever his name is, their coach, I forget it. Anyway, he's been coaching the living crap out of them. It's been awesome to watch. So when they beat the Ravens, excuse me. But outside of that, it's been really fun to watch them. I think Dallas will beat the Colts as well. Colts have just been clearly not trying to win. My opinion is I think they gotta actually draft a quarterback. They can't just keep taking these washed has-beens at quarterback and just hoping that they somehow lead them to a championship. They've wasted this great defense. They've wasted this great offensive line. They've wasted great offensive weapons on these old quarterbacks that just aren't as good as they used to be, and they haven't moved on yet. I honestly think the Bears can beat the Packers. One thing is, though, Aaron Rodgers probably still owns the Bears, but the Packers have been so uninspired this year. Like Rodgers is probably too high to really consistently throw a football. Um, and honestly, I think it might be time to give Jordan Love a possible shot. Hopefully Rodgers retires at the end of the year because if he keeps playing like this for the next couple of years or however, he's just gonna really ruin his reputation, which wasn't very high. He was just really good at football. That's all he really had going for him. So yeah, I could see the Bears pulling off the upset. I think Washington will beat the Giants as well. The Giants have been scuffling here as late. Washington's been red hot. Taylor Heineke has came in there and all he does is win. He plays mediocre football and win, but he wins games. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And I think the Giants are going to kind of skid off amidst the playoffs. That hot start is kind of coming back on them now. Yeah, I just don't think they're good enough. I think Washington's honestly better than them. They had Washington better than them at the start of the year, all that good stuff. So I think Washington will hold on and win the division over the Giants. I think Seattle will beat the Rams. Personally, I think Seattle has been a really nice surprise for the NFL. You think like they were hardcore tanking. They don't have to do the tanking when Denver's doing it for them. On top of the fact that this, just in my opinion, established Pete Carroll is a top tier head coach in the NFL. A lot of people question him, but what he's been able to do with Geno Smith and what this team that nobody expected. Like I think I had them winning like one game at the start of the year, and here they are. They're fighting for a playoff spot. They can even win their division still. Like if San Fran falls off a bit, they can win that division. So the Rams have been a complete mess this year, and I don't even know who has their first round pick. I know they don't. So whoever has their first round pick is loving the Rams falling apart. And finally, I think the Bucs are going to beat the Saints. The Saints made some baffling decisions by starting Andy Dalton instead of Jameis Winston, and it's just not paid off. And as they continue to spiral out of control, I don't think the Bucs are going to blink another way. Tom Brady is too good to like be under 500 for that long. This is like kind of a weird year with Rodgers and Brady being just kind of meh. But yeah, this is my predictions for Week 13. I'll see you next week with this, and hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Bye.